What's your greatest "well I'm fricked" moment? Buddy needs a ride at 10 PM. Borrow dad's car. Pick him up and get on the way. Get pulled over for speeding, and as soon as you see the red and blues he says the one thing you don't want to hear. Don't pull over. My backpack is full of drugs you were taking me to sell. Also, it's your backpack now. I was in a car mishap when I was younger where my mum lost control of the car on a wet road and we ended up sideways facing oncoming traffic. Luckily we had slid far enough across the road for the cars to swerve and miss us, but for a few seconds I thought I was super dead. Super dead, when plain dead just isn't dead enough. Enlisted in the Marines because I wanted the challenge, not because I actually wanted to fight or anything naive. I know. While I was in dental, waiting to get my wisdom teeth pulled, a handful of shitheads crashed planes into the World Trade Center. Join the Navy or the Air Force for that crap. You don't go into the Marines hoping to not get into combat. As a little kid, I was traveling with my family on a plane to Dubai. Once it landed, I went down one aisle, family went down the other. I didn't know and thought my family were behind me. Kept walking forward and eventually when I looked back, they weren't there. Well, walked back and forth for what felt like an eternity in the airport trying to find them since I was lost in a foreign airport, without my passport or identification, was with my parents. Freaking out because there was a police person there and people kept looking at me funny since I was an unattended Asian kid freaking out. Eventually I was reunited with my family, but man, it was terrifying as a kid. Home Alone 6 Dubai. This was when I was in 7th grade. I went to a really small Catholic school and my parents a lot of times helped out around the school on weekends. So I was often there in an almost empty school with nothing to do really. I, for some reason, had a very different locker than most of the other kids in the school. Mine was a really short locker, but very wide. I had always wondered if I could fit inside of it. I figured this was a good time to do it with nobody around to see me finally solve this stupid mystery. So I get inside and I'm kind of scrunched in there. Well, the goddamn door shuts on me. I'm trying to use my fingers to open the latch from the inside, but I can't do it. So I've locked myself inside my own dang locker until probably 20 minutes later, my dad and another adult family friend comes along and I start pounding on the door. They laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. You know what, I'll just let you guys know when they're done laughing. But it's been 14 years, so I'm not sure that's gonna be anytime soon. I can't wait for I got caught in my locker and no one helped me PT. 17 in Arnalep. Just a few days ago, my first time going rafting and my group and I were about to get in the raft and all the instructors kept saying, "Wow, this is the roughest water I've seen in 7 years, no biggie, let's go rafting B." Ended up being caught between two currents and flipping over. I was stuck under the raft for about 2 minutes until I was finally yanked out and dragged through the river until I hit a rock and climbed on top. The entire time my only thought was, well, this is how I die. Turns out a woman in my group did die. She hit her head underwater, passed out, and drowned. Recently I was moving home and job around the same time. I was staying with my parents as it made getting to my new job 100 times easier. The day I was moving I opened a letter that had been in the flat informing me I owed a city council £5,000. Turns out a guy I lived with for a few years hadn't been paying the bill. We had a deal that I paid for the internet and television and he covered that. He hadn't paid a single penny in the years we lived together and lied to me God knows how many times. Now not paying council tax is actually a crime and my new job is basically moving large amounts of money for people. I have never been more stressed and furious in my life. For those who care, it all got sorted cause my parents are amazing. I got my butthole of an ex-friend to sign a contract saying he owes them the money and they paid it off and the council made sure there will be no negative consequences for me. But I nearly got set back the last 5 years and put into a debt that would have crippled me. He still goes around telling people that I am overreacting by being mad. Such an overreaction. You handled it with way more class than I would have. I probably would have killed a person. I'm glad you were able to get it worked out. Your parents sound rad. Probably February 2014 when the doctor told me I have a brain tumor. Or October that same year, 3 months after recovering from the surgery to remove it, when they said it not only grew back but grew back larger than these kinds are known for and that it was going to kill me. A friend called me saying he had been kicked out and need help picking his stuff up, was doing well in chemistry, the only class I had that morning, so figured I could skip one and go help. Show 2 days later for the next class and they begin handing out graded midterms. That's why you should keep a calendar. I smoke herb pretty rarely, but I decided to have a bowl last Friday night. Random urinalysis at work Monday morning. I drank a gallon of water, and pee pretty much straight water. Doubt it worked though. I've been sitting here all week, waiting for a call from HR. I don't know what I'm going to do if I lose my job. Just keep detoxing. If you fail you can claim it's a false positive and retake it that next week, but you should just keep detoxing. I was doing a grenade training exercise in Afghanistan. My platoon had the day off so our commander scheduled a big range for us to go practice. We were using many weapons that day, a lot of bigger stuff to include frag grenades, at 4s, 50 calories, and Barretts. It was an exciting day because as a standard infantryman you don't get to use that stuff hardly ever. The range was just starting and our other squad got to start with at 4s. A rocket launcher for those who don't know. I was very jealous because my squad got stuck with grenades first, which is the most boring range of all those listed before. We start a line to start lobbing them over the HESCO barriers downrange and get to it. A guy in my squad, let's call him Smith, comes up to the plate and readies his grenade. As he threw, the spoon on the grenade caught on his sleeve and hit the top of the barrier and fell straight down. Everyone yells and takes off running back to the concrete safety trench about 30 feet behind us. Everyone except me. I was next in line, so closest to the grenade minus the guy throwing, and as I pivoted to run I slipped 8 crap no more than 10-15 featuring away from the grenade. At that moment I decided to not get back up and thought I'm fricked. When grenades explode, there is cone of the explosion where a sliver above the ground does not get hit by shrapnel, and I just so happened to be in that protective cone. Those 3 seconds felt like a lifetime. The grenade went off and absolutely rocked the crap out of me, but somehow I was unscathed. My squad leader came to check on me and rolled me over yelling my name. As I rolled over I just looked at him and said "Fuuak." I honestly was shaken up for only like a minute and wanted to resume the range so I could shoot the big stuff. But since we had an accident our range was shut down and we never got to go back the rest of deployment. I remember sitting at my calculus final and I didn't comprehend the first page, so I just laughed throughout the whole thing cause I knew I was fricked. Your turn to do pull-ups in gym but you have a boner for no reason, and your undersized gym shorts made of 1% mesh and 99% holes in the mesh aren't doing a very good job of concealing the meat stick. Doing a push-up and a pull-up at the same time. I spent a few years skydiving every weekend. On jump 17. I'm solo at this point but don't yet have my license. Things were going well. Canopy deployed. Started thinking about landing pattern. Look down. Check windsock, make choices. Once I'm committed I notice people landing in the opposite direction than I am going. You land into the wind to slow your forward speed, and I'm wondering why they're all doing it wrong. And then I realize, crap, this was the I am fricked moment. 17 jumps is roughly equivalent to your second week learning to drive. You can make things go where you want but you have no experiences. Someone's explained how to handle things, but you don't have a clue. So, with the wind at my back I look down and realize I am moving very fast. A little more than running speed fast. There is no way I can run this out, and even if I try rolling on the landing there's going to be a lot of momentum. I am going to wipe out. Crap. Second I am fricked moment. I look at the landing area and see a sandpit. Say a short non-denominational prayer and head for it at speed. Performing my first awesome swoop. And drill myself into the sand. Nothing broken. Bruised a little. And that's when the safety officer started shouting at me. Crap. I was fricked. I didn't get grounded but was reamed out loudly and publicly. And again later at the club meeting. When I was 15ish, my parents discovered my less than Christian internet habits and installed an extremely rigid internet blocker. I didn't even have access to YouTube again until I graduated high school. Well, I found out that I could access the internet with my phone. It was an old flip phone from about 2003, and I was surprised it had internet at all. I couldn't visit websites or play videos. All I could really do was get Google image results. But it was better than nothing. Until about a week later, when my father came downstairs and asked, "Hey, I just got a bill for $50 surcharge on one of our phones. Do you know why that might be the case externally?" I said nope, and he said, "Huh, I'll have to look into it." But internally, I died. Turns out there's a $1 charge every time you use the internet on that phone. So my options were basically to come clean, or to let them look into it and see the plethora of gapy searches I'd done. That was a sucky day for Ole Mitch, let me tell you. My parents discovered my less than Christian internet habits. Okay, the plethora of gapy searches. Definitely less than Christian. That was a sucky day for Ole Mitch. I was playing rugby and through a series of unfortunate events took a knee to each temple at the same time. Both guys were running. Soon as my eyes opened I knew it was a pretty bad concussion. Just rolled over and started throwing up. The moment when you get caught up in a mall and one part of your body is being pushed one way and another part of your body is being pushed another way. All you can do is just wait and pray it gets broken up before something snaps. When I was young, our old dog ran full pace into the back of my legs. As I was falling over I had the "well, life was fun, this is going to hurt" moment. Then my head connected with the concrete with a loud bang that my mum heard from the other side of the house. I woke up dazed and my head was throbbing. Rushed to the hospital and was told I was fine. But since that day I've really struggled when talking. I cannot pronounce words correctly. Sentences get jumbled. I have trouble staying focused. And I get splitting headaches right around the back of my head where it hit. I also have other side effects and to this day, no doctor has ever been able to tell me why. For the people asking some other side effects, trouble understanding what people are saying. I hear them clear but it just doesn't make sense. I have to get people to repeat themselves 2-4 times to get what they say. People think I'm deaf because of it. But if I can lip read then I'm okay. The bad headaches, nowhere near as bad as they used to be, but they do wake me up some nights. Poor sleep, not sure if this has anything to do with it. Prob not. My English skills are up crap creek without a paddle. Trying to concentrate on something for too long brings on headaches. Talking is a bee sometimes, other times it's not so bad. My memory has suffered. I cannot remember a lot from before this and have trouble remembering things. But some stuff that really isn't important just stays like it only just happened. Have a lot of trouble remembering people's names. I know the face but cannot put a name to it. Sometimes I just feel down and out because I can't even put together a ducking sentence easily. I have some pretty backwards ways of doing things. This also could be just me and have nothing to do with it. Reading hurts. I get letters words totally mixed up and it makes no sense to anyone. I read some words as something totally different and takes a few goes or someone else point out my frick up to fix the problem. This also leaves me feeling like an idiot. There are more but that's enough for now. Thank you everyone for your help and support. Stay awesome Reddit. It's probably because you hit your head when you were young. As a child about 11 years old, climbing a big old tree at the secret lake. Must have been 20-30 feet up when the branch I was standing on just went like dust away from me. Falling headfirst was one of those life flashing past moments. And being only 11, it didn't take long. Was saved by ending upside down tangled in a barbed wired fence. Never did tell my mum the truth about how my new jeans and leg got ripped to pieces. Days before my finals, I kicked a football through the window of the teacher's break room where it hit my physics teacher on the head. There's a good lesson about projectile physics in there somewhere. That feeling you get when you feel your can is on black ice and you are inexorably headed for the ditch, courtesy of physics, and all you can do is try and relax because you know that crap is gonna hurt when you hit. Fortunately I hit a deep snowdrift. Unfortunately a lady came by a minute later and slammed right into the side of my car, totaling it. Oh crap, flew off. Phew. Save. Bam. Fooak. Driving home late at night in my Mazda 3 hatchback, while going across a 6-lane dam. Got clipped head on by a drunk woman in a Yukon. Airbag went off which knocked my hands off the steering wheel. Also saved my life from the impact. Thank you Mazda. My Mazda went into a spin. As I'm spinning I get my hands back the wheel to turn into the spin. Around the 360-degree point I decided I was fricked. I knew the lake was flooded and assumed I was dead. Still I continued to hold the wheel while spinning out of control. Ended up doing a 1260-ish and stopped on the far lane on the edge on the dam. I let out the biggest sigh of my life. Then proceeded to go into shock and lose my vision for the next hour. In my first term of college, I figured midterms would be in the middle of the term. Checked the syllabus week 4. 10-week term. For when the midterm was, there were 2. One was the week before. That's when you know you really fricked up. That exact millisecond when you realize you're leaning too far back in your chair and your life flashes before your eyes and you accept your fate. A kid in my history class in high school was leaning back in his chair and, as soon as he realized he was going to fall, he said, calmly well crap, and hit the floor. Set 5 alarms on my phone so I can wake up, get ready, and get to the airport on time for my flight to see my parents on the other side of the world. I wake up to a phone call from my parents asking if I got to the airport okay, and I look at the time and well, I somehow slept through all 5 alarms. This reminds me of my friend who slept through 2 alarms and missed his flight. He got his parents to book him a new one. So the next day he wakes up super early and gets to the airport with a few hours to spare. While waiting, he falls asleep and wakes up to the plane leaving. About 8 years ago my friend Drew flicked off this truck full of bros that was tailgating us. They followed us to a grocery store parking lot and got out to confront us. I peeled out, started speeding down the road and next thing I know I'm in a full-on car chase. My dumb butt turns off the main road because I was hoping I could lose them. Nope, they cornered us in a cul-de-sac. All the bros got out of the truck and 2 of them had bats. I was pretty sure I was about to die. Dude came to the window and started screaming at me about how much of a P I was and how easily he could kill me. He made me tell him I was his B, and I assured him that I was his B. He made me say it about 8 times. Then he bucked at me, turned around, got in his truck and left. Scariest experience I've ever had in my life. To this day, I won't even honk at someone no matter what they do on the road. Next time just drive to the police station and park in front. They will leave. Parents left for the weekend. Had a party. Found wine in wine rack. Come let's drink it. Older brother will go to liquor store and replace it tomorrow. Drink wine, get drunk, have fun. Next day older brother calls and says they can't find anything that looks like the bottle on the shelf. Asks me to read label exactly as it says. Read label. Limited edition. Specific year. Card around the top says to mom and dad from boss. Older brother informs me Clark tells him that was a $300-400 bottle of wine. Limited edition. It was presented to my mother when she won an award. Replaced it with a $12 bottle of wine. Hoped my parents wouldn't notice. They did. Got double jumped by a way bigger kid on one of the old school trampolines back when I was about 10 years old. My trajectory had me coming down on the rail right between my legs. I summoned the power of 1,010-year-olds and managed to stop my entire body with my hands on that rail. I now have a 3-year-old son as a reward for my burst of strength. My nads lived to spunk another day. 16 years old. Come home to find that my mom had rearranged the game room, which is where the P-tape I had was hidden. Look at the cabinet where it was stashed. Yep, cleaned out. Oh crap. Looking back at it it's not that big of a deal but at the time, I thought it was the end. Oh god, the memories. Back when I lived with my mom, I had a H problem, and a bedroom full of paraphernalia. Several times she organized my room for me. Now that is freaking scary. Still makes my knees weak to picture my mom with tears in her eyes, holding a bag of insulin syringes and my spoon in front of me. Hearing an oak tree starting to fall right behind me, I was in a 3-foot wide space, and had to outrun it Prometheus style. You ever feel the topmost branches of a tree whip your head and back? Frick that. The Prometheus school of running away from things is the only school you'll ever need to attend. Well, I used to make slightly altered driver's licenses. Everything went smoothly for months. Then 9/11. No, I did not supply them with any. It happened and they cracked down on Illinois and Iowa on it. Then one weekend 2 different people in 2 different cities got caught with their real and my slightly altered id. The cops wanted to know which was real. When they both called me, that's when I knew I was fricked. I got into the business because I wanted an id, so I made one and it was okay. Then I met a guy who made them in a slightly different way. We kind of took the best parts of both and combined them. Then our friends wanted them and $50 was $50. Then their friends wanted them and it got out of control. I ended up making a deal that involved them being able to recover all the IDs. No one with one was charged besides the ones that got caught on their own. I made a plea and did not do any jail time. I was also a criminal justice major and ruined that whole thing. Good times. When I hit a patch of black ice and lost complete control of my car, everything I learned in driver's ed and everything my dad ever taught me just blanked out of my mind like a blue screen of death. I just kinda sat back and went, well crap, before hitting the side of the road and flying through the air for 15 featuring before rolling my car 3 times. It rolled from front to back at one point and busted out the windows and packed me in with snow, so I was basically protected with packing peanuts. When I came to, I got out of the car without any harm done to me. The lady who stopped to help yelled out to me, "Mom, are you okay?" And I just shouted back, "My dad is going to kill me. My insurance will go up." The moment I almost rear-ended a parking car going 50 km/h, 31 mph, on my bicycle. I was going downhill without a helmet on. Smart, I know. When I suddenly noticed the parking car, I tried to brake but just ended up sliding my way towards it. Entering the road to go past it was not an option as cars were driving by, so of course I did it anyway. I somehow managed to squeeze between the car and the traffic, slid my way along the parked car's side, tore off the mirror and flew across the bonnet, my bike going the other direction. Miraculously, I wasn't even bruised slightly. My bike was barely bent at all, so I just sat there and tried to process what just happened. I could have died easily that day. I was backpacking with a bunch of friends in the mountains, and several days in we set up camp by a large pristine lake. While everyone was sunning themselves and goofing off on the shore, I decided to swim to the other side of the lake. The water was cold, but I didn't think twice about it as swimming pools also seem cold when you first jump in. I got about a quarter of the way across when I realized that the lake was way colder than any swimming pool I'd been in and that the cold was sapping my strength. So I turned back. Before I set out, I didn't know that cold water could do that. Plus I was in really good shape at the time. On the way back I quickly got to the point where I no longer had the strength to do the crawl stroke, so I switched to the side stroke. And when I no longer had the strength for that, I flipped over onto my back and tried to get to shore by just kicking and moving my hands back and forth. I finally got to the point where I couldn't even do that back thing and realized I was too weak to call out to my friends for help. At that point I thought, well, I'm fricked, and sort of let my body sink to the bottom, thinking that I was about to drown. What I didn't realize, because I was on my back, was that I was so close to shore that I was literally inches above the bottom, so I was able to crawl stagger out of the lake. TLDR, don't go for a swim in glacial runoff. The cold will shut down your body. Fixing a car at work one day, leaning under the hood, looked up and to my left to see a guy with a ski mask pointing an AK at my face. I thought I was going to die next to a 92 Escort, not my preferred way to go. Wow, you can't just leave US with that. Story time for. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.